Hello, everybody. This is Scott Martin-Rowe from your class, and today I'm going to go ahead and share the Destiny library management system, which is done from Follett, brought out by Follett. And this is the system that at least I know all of the schools in LAUSD use. They use this system for the libraries, and they also use this system for textbooks. I've been using this system for about 10 years. I was at a small school, and one of the many hats that I wore was being the textbook coordinator. So at a certain point, I'd been organizing all the textbooks on a giant Excel spreadsheet for a while. And then they came through and they added Destiny to all of the schools, barcoded all of the books. And so then I used this system here, which was a lot easier than using an Excel spreadsheet. And that's how it works. All of the schools in LAUSD are linked to this system, similar to the way that all of the LA public libraries are kind of hooked into the same system. So I can find books at other school sites, and I can show you what that looks like in a minute. And I can see, if my students have books that are overdue at, still from their middle school, sometimes still from elementary school. And yeah, it's a really robust system. There's a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of features to it. I'll go through some of the main ones and the stuff that I use all the time. I'm sure that some of you that work in LAUSD or that use the Follett Destiny system know some other parts of this that I won't go over. And that's fine. Maybe in the discussion you can bring those up. So anyhow, this is basically the landing page for me. If a students also use this same system, but they use primarily the catalog. When they land, they will just see home and catalog here. The home page, I don't know why, but it's blanked out now. I used to have some other stuff on here and a link to to the library website that I have, which looks like this. And if students are here, they can click on, some of the stuff that I offer them down here. They click on Find a Book, and it takes them right to this system to find their own book. So again, if a student clicked on Find a Book, it would just send them here. They wouldn't have circulation or reports or admin or my info. It would just say home and catalog. So home is this page here. Usually there's more going on. Catalog. So let's click on there first. So the catalog, this is more or less what students would see when they go in to search for a book. They'll have less on this side. I think everything below standard search is gone. And they have fewer tabs up here for things to do. So this is the basic search page. And like most search pages, you can enter anything and search by keyword or by title, author, subject, series. You can narrow down your search down here, the material type that you're looking for. If there are sublocations, so I have some sublocations that I established in the library. Everything got kind of stopped mid process when we had to go out for the year. But I moved all the graphic novels into their own shelf. There's a leadership project that a couple of the schools do. So I have those books, some of the books that are assigned with that shelf somewhere. I have 100 or so different titles that teachers can use for literature circles. Those are, some of them are kept on the shelf. So for those books, I have usually anywhere from 4 to 6 copies of the book. 2 of them are done through permabound, so they're hardcover library-bound books, and they're out on the regular circulation shelves. And then I have anywhere from 2 to 5 maybe books that are behind the counter, and those are usually paperback because they're cheaper. And they don't get circulated as much, and usually the students take better care of them. So those are, wrapped, and I add them into the system separately. But those are on the literature circle shelf. I have manga in its own section. A lot of the graphic novels and the manga are kind of it's like the 741.5 section. So that little area in the library would get a lot of foot traffic. So I kind of spread them out into 2 areas, kind of closer to the front of the library. Professional resources for teachers. There's a lot of teaching books. Those are actually in the workroom behind the counter of the library. And then we have reference books. And then I pulled all of the titles that are in Spanish and put them in their own section as well. So that when the ELD teachers bring in their students, they can go straight over to that section if they're looking for a book in Spanish. And they're all right there. It's almost like a mini collection because it's, it's fiction, and then it's Dewey from 001 all to 900, whatever. All right. Award winners. I don't think I have anything set on there, but not Alabama. Sorry, Alabama. In terms of literary prizes, you can look up books. I don't know if a lot of them are marked like this. But I might mark some of them because I've been going through the process of like putting genre stickers on all of the books, and the books that have won particular prizes, I think I have like National Book Award, Pulitzer Prize, Prince Prize, some of those, Coretta Scott. Those books I've kind of marked with a different, I think it's a star sticker, just so students can see like, oh, this is an award-winning book over here. They can search by reading level if they want, interest level, different programs. I don't think anybody at this school is doing accelerated reader right now, but they can. If I click on Lexile, if a student is asked, sometimes the teachers will have them look for their Lexile level, their range, so they can look for books in that range if they want. Power search, boo, boo, boo. Again, just adds more to the mix. You can look for a lot of stuff. You can take out certain search, different operators that you don't want it to include. Visual search is actually really good for some students. They can look, they want to find a book on animals, famous people, stuff like that. And I can set up what that looks like. The different categories here. We don't have a ton of stuff like DVDs or non-print materials. The library, the school that I'm at was built, it opened in 2007. So really they got some DVDs, there are some audiobooks, but mostly it's books. And not like some of the libraries and other people I've talked to in other libraries that are, a middle school that's been open since 1950 something, and they've still got, film. I'm not sure the millimeter, but, some of that little film canisters in the back and all kinds of, VCRs and VHS tapes, and we don't have any of that. And what little there was of like VHS tapes and stuff like that, nobody used, so I got rid of all of it. We can look by number here. I can search by barcode. And then again, brief records from a call number range here, the books in there. So most students are just going to stick with the basic search up here. Most of the time they're looking for a title, sometimes an author. Destiny discovers the next piece here. This is actually a really cool program that I try and get students to use. And what it is, it's almost like Goodreads for them, kind of. But it'll show books that we've recently added to the collection up here. And they can search via topics. So let's say that a student says, I really want to read this book, Vanilla. And what they can do is they can create their own review for it if they want, and then they can see other people's reviews. They can look down here for the information, shows the Lexile level, all of this information here. Not that they really care about any of that, any of the reviews, any of the subjects. So you can see all of those, it's like Sears subjects, possibly. How many copies we have, and then copies that are at other schools. So, there's one copy at our school, and there's 3 other copies out in the district. Any awards this book has won. And then they can either put a hold on this book, which will show up for me as in a report I can run, or they can favorite the book, which is really cool. So they can unable to add favorite. Oh, well, whatever. But they can favorite it, and then they will have a list of books here. Let's see. Might not be letting me do it. I don't know. But they can click on their favorites, and it'll show them. So this is where they can see their own profile without having me to show it up for them. Their Destiny Discover, collections, their profile, what they have checked out, any holds that they have, any money that they owe, any favorite books they've favorited. So it's really cool once you get students to use it. But again, it's like one more thing for them to kind of be with. So I'll back out of here and go back to this page here. So I don't use a lot of this over here on the left, WebPath Express. I haven't really explored this. Digital resources, none have been configured here. Most of that is going to go through the LAUSD digital library, which I did have a link on the homepage before, but there is a link to it on the library website here, which will help them access the LAUSD digital library. And then they know how to read part of the library introduction that I do with students, either in their classroom or in the library. We go over the whole digital library and all of the resources here, and the free sites, and then the subscription sites that they can use, and really talk about how using these databases is much better than just going onto Google and putting in whatever you want. Standard search, again, I don't use much of this, and I don't have any resource lists here. So, looks like it logged me out. That's why. So let me log back in here. So back to catalog. Here is where, if I wanted to add a book to the system, to our library, here's where I would do it. Now, if there's a whole bunch of titles that are being brought in, I would use import titles. I'm not doing that. I haven't done any of that, and that would come from probably some Excel file or something. Same with exporting titles. If a bunch were going out for some reason and not being weeded out, I guess they would go this way if they're going to get exported to a different site or something like that. Tidal Wave is through Follett, and that's kind of like it's ordering books through them. I order all of my books as much as I can through Permabound because I have everything set up with them so that when the books arrive, they're barcoded, they've got the covers that I want on them, and I set up my genre stickers that go on the spine with Permabound. So once those books come in, they're already added into the Destiny system. They're ready to go on the shelf. They're all ready to go, which is great. All right, so let's say I wanted to add a title. I would click on Add Title here. And I will, first of all, do this book, Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Water Dancer, which I bought, and with the idea that I would send it to the library. So it's a great book. So usually I just go ahead and punch in the ISBN. I already tried this out, so there it is. And I would hit go. Now, it's going to look for the book with the ISBN, and it's going to give, I have a couple options here. One, the red house means that this book is already in the LAUSD system. So this book already exists with that ISBN number somewhere in LAUSD at some library, and they've already put it in Destiny. There's also this one down here, the Alliance Plus, which has all of the information for this book, the MARC record for this book. So I'll go ahead and click on The Water Dancer. Since it's already in the system, I'll go with the one that's from LAUSD. And here it will show me the call number that's been assigned to it. There's no local copies of this book. I can see if there's any offsite copies. I'm trying to put see all. Anyways, that's weird. Maybe it's over here. Nope, no copies. Never mind. I thought it would show me where else they have it, but I guess not. Maybe it's some down the road here. So Up here, the title details, I can look up the mark view of the book, which I now better understand. What they've got in the 500s and the 600s, I always find pretty interesting. Any reviews that are in, there's none for this book. I'm not 100% sure if that comes from Destiny Discover or not, but it may. And then copies. So there's no copies at my school. So if I want to add a copy of this, I will just hit add copy. It's going to ask me for a barcode number. They haven't taken off my barcode filter, so they don't know where to start my next number. So I have a bunch of barcode. I know what my next number is at school. I have it written down somewhere. So I would enter in that number that I want to come next, and I would enter in some of this information here. So the call number, I would probably go with what they already have set up. Since this is a novel, I would put in the fiction coats, the FIC space COA, because it would get put into the fiction stacks. The purchase price, I would put down what I paid for this book. I think I bought it off, or what it would cost to replace it. I think I bought it off of Amazon. It says $28. I'm sure I didn't pay that much, but I would probably put that. What kind of resource it is, when we got the book. So that would be today. If there's any copy categories that I want to put in or notes I want to add. There's any sublocations. So if this book is going to be put on a different shelf, I can do that now. So if it's going to be part of the graphic novels or whatever, I can click that. Vendor, I can put from Amazon, and the funding source down here where the funding came from. Sometimes they want to know that if it's Title I money or if it came from the library fund, or if a particular school purchased the book, because there's 4 schools on the campus. Sometimes they want me to signify that. So I would enter all this information in here. I would hit save copies. I would usually click print labels and hit save copies. And what it would do is, I'm not going to do it here, but on the next screen, it would show me the barcode that I would print out. And then I would go ahead and print that barcode out. I put one here. I put one on the inside. I'm not using the checkout cards much anymore. And I would, put a cover on this book and get it up on the shelf. I'd put a genre category on it here. And that would be it. So it'd be ready to go and students could check it out. It's time consuming. Printing out the labels gets time consuming because I don't have like a single label printer. So it gets printed out, on an 8.5 by 11 sheet that's got 33 labels on it. And you have to kind of, it prints 2 at a time. There's one goes inside, or I usually do 3. One goes on the back for scanning. One goes on the inside for scan, if it needs to be scanned. And then I usually kind of hide one somewhere else in the back here just in case. Students do, for whatever reason, sometimes rip off the labels, and I don't understand it, but okay. But it does get time consuming because I have to, using the paper, I might be on the 3rd row of labels. I have to tell it, go to label number 10 and start printing there, and then print them off. And hopefully, I save it on I put it onto a PDF from here, and then I print it on the printer. You got to make sure it's all lined up right. It's a real pain in the butt, but it's much, much easier to just order the books from Permabound, but they are more expensive. So that's the catch. So that's this book. It was already in the system, so it makes it a lot easier to add this book in. Now, let me do a different book here. So this is the book Tigers by a friend of mine, Kim Young. She's a poet. It's a great book. She's a great poet if you're looking for anything good. So I'm going to go ahead and add this book in. I'm almost positive that this book is nowhere, which sounds terrible to say about my friend, but this is through a very small press. And so you can see there's no matches so far. Even though it's a book, it's got its own ISBN. It's a great book of poetry. But my guess is nothing's going to come up on here. So what I would do is I would contact LAUSD, the ILTSS, the library services folks, and I would say, hey, I have this book. I want to get it added in. And they would tell me to send the book over to them. So they're not going to have me go through and like create a MARC record or anything like that. If I wanted to do it myself, I could do it here. But they really, from what I've been told, they really don't want us to do this, which is fine by me. And you can see that, there's all this other stuff up here that I would have to add in. And yeah, since I'm a newer librarian, I'm just going to send it over to them and let them do it. And then they're really fast. They send the book back. I send it by school mail and I get it back within a week and it's in the system and it's ready to go. So that's pretty great. Now, updating titles on the left. So that's adding books. Just to go back real fast. That's adding books. It's pretty easy. It gets time consuming in terms of labeling. Most of the time is labeling the books and getting them covered. But it is what it is. Update titles. So if I need to delete reviews here, I can do that here. So if students have put in reviews on books, I can go ahead and review that. I can delete them here. I don't think there's any reviews on any of the books. So that's not something I've used yet. Updating copies is actually I've used quite a bit. So this is for weeding the book. So the library I moved into, again, had been there since 2007. There were a ton of books that had never been checked out, and there were 2 copies of the book. So when they first opened the library, for all of the fiction books, they ordered 2 copies of each, which makes sense. And they had a ton of books upstairs that had never been touched. And they had, you can see on the picture, maybe on the picture here. Oh, I must have closed. Oh, no. I can show you here quickly. So downstairs is where the fictions, this is when the school first opened. But they have them down here. But there's also some bookshelves on the second floor. Most of this up here is used for meetings. We're right next to the LAUSD headquarters, so sometimes they have meetings over here, or the superintendent likes to come over and film stuff in the library. But there were a bunch of books up here that were the second copies of books from downstairs. And the books downstairs had never been checked out. So I went through and I weeded out a bunch of those books that were just taking up space, and that had never been checked out. So a whole lot of books went onto the free books rack. And I also pumped up some of the local little libraries here in Pasadena and Eagle Rock. So if I want to delete a copy, I can track it. So if I want to delete it, say that something happens, a book gets destroyed, I can just delete it. I can just put in the ISBN number and click go, and that book was gone. If I track it as weeded, then they know that it was done through a different sort of process. If there's a whole bunch of books I want to delete, I can do that here. I can do a whole bunch. If I something go scan them all and then put them in like in an Excel file and upload that. Individual update. So if I want to update a book without having to kind of go in all the way into the copy, the file for the copy, I can go in here and say I want to change the sublocation. This is going to the graphic novel shelf, and I can just scan it and hit update. And I can do that, over and over and over with copies. Or I can hit batch update, and I can say I want to, change it to, I want to change the sublocation on all of these books to the graphic novel shelf. I can create a giant list and then I can update it. And then for all of those books that I scan in, it'll add that sublocation note on all of them, which is something I'll do when I get back. I'll do that with all the graphic. I haven't done it yet with the graphic novels, with the manga books, with the Spanish books. It's not something that I had done yet. And global update. I can do that here with a ton of books. So if I decide that I want to call this sublocate everybody with the sublocation graphic novel shelf, if I want to change it, I want to call it something else. I want to call everything on that shelf, I want to call it, something else. I can do that, which I'm not going to do right now. But I can do that. So if I change the name or title or something, I can go ahead and update a whole bunch of copies at once. Over on the left here, different schools have reading programs. We don't have that. And then I can change the setup of the search, the visual search here. I can, I think I can add different search pieces to this, or I can take things off for the visual search, which is great for students that are, some of them that aren't reading, they're maybe in special day classes and stuff like that. I've had them use the visual search, and it's really great. All right, moving on to circulation. So this is just more or less for students check in and check out books. Want to check out a book, I just scan the barcode here. Usually what I do is I scan the student's ID. If they don't have their ID, which is fine, I can just, type in their name. And, I've got 2 students here named Nishat. And then I would just enter in the barcode for the book in the library, and it'll check it out to her. And I can also, oftentimes when I do this, I'll just ask them some questions. So listen, if they want to check out a book because I don't have my ID, I'll say, what's your name? They'll give me their name. And then I can say, what's your birthday? And because that's embedded in their student ID number. So that's kind of one check. And then I'll say, who's your homeroom teacher, your pathways teacher? And if they get those 2 things right, they deserve to check it out. No, I can also check on MySys that has a photo on them. Checking in the books is pretty straightforward. Just scan them. Just make sure that's in there, scan it, and it checks it in. If the book had previously been marked lost, or if the book is late and has incurred some fines, it'll note that when I check it in. I can renew books same way. I just click it here and it'll renew them for 3 weeks. And then I'll show you later I have all that set up. If students have a hold, I can look up the student. This is for looking up students individually. She doesn't have any holds. I can add a hold for her. So I can look up a title, put it on hold for her. I can look up if a student has any fines. So often when seniors are checking out, they want to know if they owe any money. I have to check each senior, and see if they owe any money. Copy status, so I can look up a copy. And see where it is. So this is just searching this. It's much easier, obviously, to search by the barcode. But if I want to search by the title, so by the barcode, I can see that this book was marked lost this year when I completed the inventory back in October. So it's gone. We got it, I guess I got it in 2017, and we haven't seen it. I think it only keeps the circulation statistics for the last year, which is a bummer. So I don't know who had this book before or after, but it wasn't scanned. So I'll have to check that out. Some of the manga books do get stolen, which is one reason. And the barriers, or the little alarm things to go in and out of the library, I found out were broken when I took over the library. So who knows how many books just walked out. So I can look up the copy status if someone says, hey, I want that book. Do you have that book, The Testaments? And I can say, oh yeah, I have that book. It's available. Or, I can say, oh, this person checked it out and I haven't seen it yet. All right. Same with patron status. I can look up a student and see if they owe anything, what they have checked out. Her library circulation statistics. She's a newer student, came to the school, to LAUSD, so she's only checked out 6 books. And that's that, library information. Due dates for items checked out. I can change this somewhere else, but if anybody were to check out a book today, it would be due on the 12th. The reference books and the AV stuff, I don't check out the students, but books can be checked out for 3 weeks and then renewed again for 3 weeks. You can see over here, fine increment. I don't charge for overdue books, but after 60 days of being overdue, the fine for the purchase price of the book is levied on there. So it's marked as lost after 60 days, and they owe that. And that usually gets their attention, and then they remember to bring the book back. I can look up different statistics here. Quick snapshot, checked out right now, 2 overdue books, 2. The reason that there's so many lost is because students have books right now in their possession, and some of them have been returned to the library, and they're waiting to be checked in when I can get back to school. And so there's $7,300 worth of fines, and those aren't fines from being late, like 10 cents a day. They're fines from owing the price of the book. So once the book gets checked in, that just goes away from them. You can see we have 18,877 titles, 22,000 books, because there's a lot of titles that have multiple copies. Titles without copies, I don't know what that's about, but okay. I got 1,700 active patrons. So I can view statistics for the past year. I can go over here. I can see who my top patrons are for the past, say, year. It's going to be really sad. Yeah, that's pretty sad. He checked out 4 books. Good job, Fernando. And, which homerooms have checked out the most books? Very sad, none. The top and bottom. So I can do those kinds of things. And I think when we get back to school, probably for next fall, I'll do more of this kind of like praising the top homerooms for checking out books. So there's that. Reports. There's a great report system in here. All of my favorite reports went away. I don't know why, but there's different reports. So we have the library reports where I can look, create reading lists, identify copies that might be incorrectly cataloged, all kinds of stuff here. The list copies in the order that they should be shelved. So that's a great one to do with like student workers in the library, is to give them the 100s and say, your job is to go through the 100s and get them in order, make sure they're in order. Lists of the copies in the collection, all the lists I've been weeding out, wish lists that students have, books that students have requested on there. I can see the whole, I'm going to skip this for just 1 second. I can see all the holds that are there, hold notices, interlibrary loans. I haven't done any of those. Completed inventories, in progress inventories. If I look, let's show more. If I go to, for example, completed inventories, this here, 2012, is when the Destiny system, I believe, was put in. So this is when all the books were scanned in. They were given barcodes. They were scanned into the system. And this is what was there. Now, this is the most recent, this is the first full inventory that has happened since then. You can see it was started in 2017 by the librarian that was there, and she never finished it. So when I came in, I started it, and then we had to leave, and then I came back. So we have 1,300 books marked as lost over those 8 years. That's a lot of books. And some of those books might be there. Some of them are marked as lost because the students haven't returned them yet, and it's been over 60 days. But a good number of these books are just gone. So, I can pull up the list of my little screencastify guy's moving. I can view this list and see all the books that are accounted for. When I first looked at this, I was like, I have 842 pages of missing books, but this is the completed library. I think I have to go all the way to what I write down, 792. And this is where it shows the books that are lost. So it's strange what what's missing or stolen or what, because there's a bunch of these books I noticed that are all these different philosophy books that are gone. And it's all these so-and-so in 90 minutes, so-and-so in 90 minutes. Someone stole the Bible, or the Bible's missing. I won't say someone stole it. Teen dads. So there's a bunch of books that are missing here. Not a ton in the nonfiction section, but you can see when we get into 741, which is where the graphic novels appear, we start seeing Helsings are gone, Inuyasha. Yeah, some of those are gone. Dragon Ball Z. And then we get into fiction here soon. And somewhere soon. I guess there's a lot of books about other places. It says there's a bunch of CDs and DVDs missing. I don't know why that is. I believe they all got scanned for the inventory, but maybe I missed a cabinet. So I'll have to go back and check that out. There's a lot of DVDs missing. I don't even think we have all that many DVDs. So they might be in a box somewhere, and no one told me that box existed. So I'll have to look for it. But then we start going through, and there's all the fiction books that are missing. And so I would have students kind of go through, and we'll just kind of check and see what's here, what's not here. It looks like people were really into Les Mis and wanted to walk away with those. What do you know? And some Kafka, sure. My kind of student. Some Kerouac, all right. Anyway, so that gives me that report, and then, I can go back through and look for these books. I can see on the right here the last time this book was seen. So Franz Kafka, this book has not been seen, meaning it hasn't been scanned since after school got out in 2012, because the team came in right after the end of the school year. This book was last seen in 2014. None of these are super recent. The Giver, 2017. Yeah, a lot of these haven't been checked since they were first put in the system. So, there's the chance that the book is on the shelf and it was just missed for some reason. I did have students helping me with the inventory, and they don't get all of the books all the time, but that's just the way it goes. So anyways, when I have some student workers again, I'll probably have them go through the stacks and start looking for these books. R.L. Stine, big. It's a book that's walking away. All right. So I have that, these reports there. I can pull up patron reports. Back to this one. So I can look at a bunch of different statistics. I can print a new barcode label if I need to do that. If a student loses a book and then purchases a replacement, and I'm fine with that, I can just re-barcode it, if it's essentially the same book. Cool thing that I have here is current checkouts and fines is I can run this report. So I can check out all that are currently overdue. Let's see, which everything right now is overdue because nobody's checked out a book from the library since I think November. It's the last time I was able to check books out. I can email, I can print out this report. I can email it to the homerooms, to the teachers there, and then they can bother their students about it. I can do it just for students graduating this year. I can do all the students. So this is not a bad one to do right now. So seniors know that when school opens next week, they could bring these books by. If I don't want to include textbooks, because they always get crazy about the textbooks when I add that one to it, they'll be like, I'm still taking algebra. Why do I need to return this? I'll unclick that and any resources. I don't really have those out. The materials my patrons have and the fines, they belong to other sites. So if they still owe that Diary of a Wimpy Kid to their middle school, which is the most common book they still owe to middle school, that'll notify them of that. I'll continue here. I can send it to all the homerooms. Put in my name. That's the email. So I can put the price. So it'll say the title of the book. It'll put a picture of the book. That sometimes helps. The price of the book, the barcode, and stuff like that. And then I just run the report, boom, and it's sending an email to all of the teachers right now, all of the homeroom teachers, about students in their homeroom that owe books. Now, if I go to patron reports, I can send this directly to the student. So right now, I'll go in here, same thing, and just, sorry, I went a little fast there. So you can see there's less going on here. It's a lot more library reports. So I can look at all kinds of statistics, top patrons, top titles, print out labels, look at the inventory, look at the holds. Patron reports, I can have a list of all my patrons here. I can get all kinds of statistics about them. I think it only keeps it for up to a year. So really, like, all the statistics in here are kind of moot at this point because there's nothing going on. I can create, new labels and whatnot for patrons. Anyways, so I can look at fine history, overdue materials, but everything right now overdue has been marked lost. So it's going to be a checkout. It's going to be a checkout overdue materials issue. So currently overdue, all their unpaid stuff. Let me see, hold on. Go back to format. So I want to send it to the students. I thought I had that option here. Notices, maybe that's it. So I'm sending this to all of the students. So I send it up here. I want notices in English, everything they owe, all the students. I'm going to include stuff from other sites if they still owe that. I'm going to take off textbooks and resources. Continue here. And then here I can have it sent via email directly to the student. If I do mailed, I believe it prints it out for me, and then I have to mail it. I'm not doing that. So I can send it via email. It's going to send it to their student email. And say, dear so-and-so, let's have your name. Say these items are overdue. Please return them as soon as possible, starting whatever day that is we're going back, next Tuesday. Address label, I'm not going to do that. Title. So I can put the cover image, I can put the price. I don't need to put all that. They should know that. And then I can run the notices, and it is in progress. So it's sending out a bunch of emails right now for me. So the other one is completed, just completed a couple minutes ago. So it sent all of those notices to the homeroom teacher. So I should be getting some emails in the next hour or so asking me what I expect them to do. And that's that. So I've sent that out. I can refresh it, and still in progress, it looks like. Still in progress. All right. Report builder, you can kind of create your own reports here. And these can also be created by people other than me. So Oscar's works at the library unit in LAUSD, and he creates different reports in here sometimes. This is one of the SAAs at the school created a report last year for things that were checked out. And here I can just see all the different reports that I've done. So I have a weekly circulation report that runs every week. And the inventory report is here once it was all finalized. This is still in process. So sending out all those emails takes a little bit of time. So that's the report section. There's some really great stuff here. I'll have to go back through and create my favorites again. Again, one of my favorites being the checkouts and fines. And I'd really like to do something with the top patrons and the top homerooms and top titles and stuff like that. Getting near the end here, the admin function. So here I can delete patron information, any notes that they've had for different students. So I don't have notes for a student that already graduated popping up with a book or something like that. Library policies. So this is where I can set up all of the cool stuff, all of the circulation criteria for students. So most of that applies to student. That's the default patron type. So the max number of checkouts I have is 5 books. The fixed due date. Oh, that has to change. So the fixed due date can be when books are due, the last day they can turn them in. So for me, this would be May. Oh, no, not the 20th. So I'm going to tell them that the last day that they can turn in books, this is the day that all books are absolutely due, will be May 28th. And that gives time to hound those kids who didn't return them. Max number of checkouts is 5. Max number of holds they can do is 5. Ready holds. So when I notify them that the book is ready, they have 7 days to come pick it up. Just leave that as standard. Block checkouts and renewals of patron is fine. So I don't do that. If they owe money, if they have overdue items, I don't like keeping that from students checking out books. I do remind them when they have it. But very often, if a teacher brings their class in to check out a book for whatever it is they're checking out books for, when I first started in the library, I got a lot of students saying, well, I can't check out a book because I owe money. I can't check out a book. I owe money. And so what I did is I went in and I took away all the fines for overdue books. And that was most of the money that was owed. And I did go to the principals at the school ahead of time and tell them I was going to do this, and that meant I would need a little bit more money from them to buy stuff, because, some of the money to buy supplies comes from those fines. So there's no fine for a late book. They can renew books up to twice. And somewhere on here, it says after 60 days, it becomes, I forget where this one's at, but after 60 days, it becomes lost, to mark them lost. I don't exactly remember where I do that, but after 60 days, it becomes marked as lost, and then they get charged with the whole book. And that usually makes them return the book pretty quickly. I can set up the calendar or hours of the library here, different site configuration, stuff I can put here, what languages it supports. So during library inventory, check shelf order based on call number. When the last copy of a library title is deleted, remove the title from this library's collection. So yeah, just some different stuff here that doesn't really have a whole lot to do on a day-to-day basis. Job manager, different, goes like this with the inventory again. So if I were doing inventory, I would go to admin, go to inventory, and then I would start scanning here to check in the books. And I'll probably do a new inventory next year, especially if it seems like a lot of the books that are on the shelf are there, if they want us to do another inventory, stuff like that. My info is just me, any books I have out. Dear Martin, I checked it out, haven't returned it. And that is more or less the Follett Destiny system. It's really, I think, pretty user-friendly, and really you spend a lot of time in the same areas. Like I spend most of my time in the circulation area, or on those days where I am, processing new books. Like for the literature circles here, I've got, reserve copies are the copies behind the counter. Shelf copies are ones that are out on the circulation shelf. So if you go out there, If you're in the library, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, you'll see that there's 2 on the shelf. There's 4 behind the counter, and this is a page that teachers can go to check out. No, I guess it's not on here right now. I don't know why that is, but the teachers can see what books are here, and the students can see what books are here, for literature circles, so that next year when they're picking out what books, they can look at the reading level. I'll have all the Goodreads descriptions here for them to use. There's also other descriptions, in the catalog, but this way they can easily click on stuff. And I can just double check how many copies I have too. So this is what I'm supposed to have. And then I can look in Destiny and I can see, Far from the Tree, there's 5 total copies, but right now I only have 4 because one of them's loaned out. So that will help. So that way, if they have 5 students that want to use this book in their lit circle, but I only have 4 copies, I'll let them know, hey, I only have 4. And that's kind of written up here. But so that's it. Like I said, mostly I use catalog when I'm adding books. I usually have a stack of books that I'm slowly kind of adding into the system. Circulation is what I'm using most of the time by checking books in and out with students. And then the reports, I use at various times for various things. So if you have any questions about Destiny, I'm happy to answer them for you. Those of you, again, that work with Destiny, maybe in LAUSD, like I said, you probably know other things that I didn't go over in here. But I hope this helps you kind of get a sense of what's being used. Another system that's being used and being used by a lot of people since it's being used by LAUSD. So, all right. Thank you very much for watching. If you have watched all the way now to the end. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.